Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Operation A5 podcast. Here I am with the boys. We just want to thank everybody for watching, the show and supporting us and keeping us afloat. We got some new lights in the room.
Yeah.
We're looking bright.
I think I need some makeup, man.
There you go. Yeah. We're gonna need a makeup artist soon to help with the glow and all that stuff. But praise God, man. We're getting some new stuff, and we're really seeing God's hand over the show and over all of us here. And it's been a fun month getting everything prepared for, and just hearing God speak through us has been an amazing experience. One thing that since it's that time of year, with All Hallows Eve creeping up on us, there was one conversation that Richie is the one that asked me the question the other day.
Of course it is.
Richie asked me the question the other day. He goes to me, bro, what's your opinion on churches doing fall parties and harvest festivals? Is it, are we tiptoeing the line of celebrating Halloween, or is it something that's beneficial to the church? So I don't know if you guys have any any thoughts on that. I gave my thoughts, but I'll give mine at the end.
Well, I think that's the end of the show. All right. I'll tell you mine. I mean, I've always, it's been a difficult subject for me and the missus, because she comes from an old school Latin church where you don't go you don't go to school,
Wow.
you don't go anywhere. You turn their lights off. You put signs out saying, hey, we don't do candy and all that.
Yep. That's my mama.
Yep. And I come from, we celebrate Halloween as the time that Dad was around, and, he wasn't traveling, so we could, go do trick or treat, and we were together and all that. And I'll tell you the story before I get to my opinion on this, because I think it's a little, it's changed a little bit. But our first year married, we got our house, and I'm like, we're gonna do Halloween this year and all that. And she's like, no, we're not. And I'm like, what do you mean, no, we're not? I'm like, yeah, we're gonna give out candies to kids. And she's like, no, we're not. And so she's like, I'm putting up a sign. We're turning off the lights. And the sign says, we are Christians. We don't celebrate the holidays, and probably a Bible verse on there and all that.
Just to rebuke the demons, just in case.
So, little kids aren't reading signs. They're still going to go knocking on your door. So the first time the kid knocks, she's like, go tell them we're not doing candy. I'm like, that's you. You go tell them that we're not doing Halloween. I'm like, I'm not telling those poor kids. I want to go give them candy right now.
Yeah.
So, but, over the years, we celebrated it, in different ways. We had a lawn party one year and just had friends over, Christian friends. Obviously we've done fall parties, we've even been upstairs in our house, we have, rooms up there, and we had our friends' dads, play like, the door knocker. You knock on the door and we'll give you candy and all that. But just recently in the last couple of years, I don't feel okay about it. It's, I think there is a spiritual fight with it, and a spiritual war. I can understand the church's reasoning behind it. I would believe that, Jesus meets us where we are, and we're supposed to go out into the community. But are we playing that game too close? Do we not know the meaning behind it? Do the people that come to our church know the difference, right? Like, hey, this is not for us. This is outreach into the community. There's some bad things to this, So necessarily, I mean, we're going to have a fall party at our church, right? I'm going to be there. I'm going to serve,
Same.
But I don't know if I 100% agree with it without giving the premise or the understanding of what we're doing here. It's like us going to a bar. We're not going to a bar to go drink. We're going to a bar to go get people, right? So if we're in that understanding that we're reaching out to the community, we're trying to bring people in, then maybe, and I'm not saying that we're doing anything wrong as a church. I'm just saying that we just need to do a better job at understanding and explaining, So it's a little bit of muffled, I do believe 100% that there is a spiritual warfare that goes on. I do believe that, there are demons out. I'm just not going to be cowardly and say, I'm not going to school today. I'm not going to go out or whatever.
Yeah. You can't live in a bubble.
Yeah. Like, I don't care about demons, Jesus is, God, and he's stronger than any demon that you can pull at me.
Amen.
So I'm not going to live that life, but I do believe there is some kind of spiritual warfare.
Right. Like there's always an agenda behind
Sure.
the all of that stuff, Halloween.
Yeah.
Chris.
Yeah, so before I was saved, man, I would celebrate Halloween,
Same, man.
Dress up, and as the years go by, you go from dressing up to drinking, right, for Halloween, right?
Right. And then you're dressing up and drinking.
Both, right? Best of both worlds. But for me, it's kind of like not knowing the meaning of Halloween, right? So I just don't celebrate it, right? After I was like, yes, I accept Jesus as my Lord and Savior, I was like, okay, this is bad, but I never, I guess, care to figure out why the reason, right? Why it was bad. I just don't. And also I'm just a coward, right? When it comes to scary things, like I don't like that. So it's always been easier for me not to, I guess, indulge in Halloween and with Fall Party, I guess it's a Christian Halloween or whatever, the outreach. So I think it's a great way to also get to your community at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the reason why, this is always a touchy time of year for the church. Right. It's Halloween and you're always split. Yeah. There's people who want to celebrate it, especially parents, right? Because parents don't want to take that away from their kids.
I don't want my kids to miss out.
Exactly. Like
and
you don't
try
want
to explain to your kid why you can't go have candy.
Right. Or try to explain to your kid, like, why do all the kids in my class get to dress up as Superman and Barbie and I got to be in my freaking uniform? It sucks. It really does suck because I went through that as a kid.
Yeah.
When I was 8, my mom found Jesus. She became a Christian when I was 8 years old.
Wow.
Right. 8 years old. You're still popping with Halloween, I was, Cat in the Hat one year, a vampire, Batman, Woody, Buzz, all these things all throughout those years. And out of nowhere, from 8 to 9, my mom just took that away from me, and my mom did the best that she could with what she knew at the time. It did kind of scar me a little bit, when I was a kid, because I remember just crying my eyes out to her and I'm like, but why can't I do it? Like what? And all she would tell me is that, oh, it's wrong. It's not, that's not Christian. And obviously, as a 9-year-old, bro, I don't care about being a Christian. I just
want candy.
I just want to be Spider-Man and get some candy. Dog. Like, what's the big deal? Like, because again, kids don't understand obviously the weight of the spiritual side of it, right? That you got to be careful what you're wearing, you got to be careful what you're perpetuating in your what you're looking at. And I agree with like Joe that through the years, obviously, you grow up. Now I'm just too grown to even care about dressing up. After a few years of my mom telling me not to, I kind of just came to realize, I'm like, bro, you know what? I'm too old for this anyways. I don't care. But now I have to say, man, that I'm in a different space with like my convictions, right? Yeah. So for example, I love scary movies. I love scary movies.
Me too.
I love, and I'm talking about like the scary ones, like The Exorcist. I love watching The Exorcist. The Conjuring is one of my favorite scary movies of all time. Insidious, all of those. I think they're fire. They're great. But the thing is, man, recently, and I'm like maybe like about a month ago, God told me like, you're done.
Yeah.
You're not watching these anymore, because my wife, she doesn't like them. She's like, Chris, she's like, peace out with that. I'm not watching. But the thing is, but she told me, she's like, it's not because I'm scared of whatever it is. It's because I just want to protect myself. Like, I don't need to be watching someone getting possessed.
Yeah.
Like, why do I want to watch that?
Right.
If it's not like on a documentary purpose, right? Like, because for example, like I'm in a Bible institute and they talk about spiritual warfare, demonology. They teach you that to prepare you for the day that you encounter one, right? Because if you're out there in the trenches with people, especially with like discipleship and mentorship, you're going to encounter a few demons.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to lay hands on somebody, right? So, but anyways, back to what I was saying is my wife is like, I don't need to see that. But she's like, but I'll watch a Freddy Krueger. I'll watch a Jason Voorhees. I'll watch a Michael Myers. I don't care. That's whatever. A guy in a mask. It's not as bad as
the other ones.
Watching a little girl get possessed and her head spinning, 360 and puking on you and levitating in her bed. Those things you don't have to watch. And again, so that conviction to me got laid on me because of her, right? Because she really opened my eyes to that. And I was like, because at first I would fight her. I'd be like, it's not that big a deal, dude. Like, we're covered by the blood. And she's like, yeah, amen. But you don't have to put yourself in that situation.
That's good.
And I can say, like, I've watched these for years and praise God, I've never been demonically possessed, but I can see how you have to protect your eye gate. Yeah. And it's not just with scary movies, with anything, right? Same thing with your ear gates. What are you listening to?
Yeah.
If all you're listening to is scary podcasts or scary, because there are those serial killer, whatever, that women love for some weird reason. But and then just those type of things that I feel like now is I see the importance of protecting the eye gate, protecting the ear gate, guarding your heart, careful what you watch, careful what you read, careful what you listen to. But Richie, I know that you have your opinions on the whole fall party and harvest festival and all that stuff.
For sure. I think at the end of the day, it's for, how do I say it? I think as human beings, we push the envelope a little bit too much. So where I want to go with that, it's like, I'm assuming every city has their own thing, but we live in Miami. So one thing, it's the promiscuous lifestyle and the things like that. So I think it just opens up the gate into that in many ways, right? With Miami being a city of that, girls are going to dress out, exposing themselves more than they have to.
Sure.
So I think, again, with what Renee said was the protecting your eyes and your ears is like, what are you watching? So those are the things. Now, fall parties at a church, I'm like, interesting, because at the end of the day, we want to love on people. We want people to feel safe, secure, and bring people into Jesus. So hopefully the church can plant that seed. It's like, oh, you should come to church, accept Jesus, and I'm for that.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's just like how Joe said, is you got to be very careful of how you navigate that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and like I said, it's just an understanding, right? Like you can come to church drunk, right? But that doesn't mean the next time you come drunk or the time after that, right? So if you come because of the fall party, great, success, we win. But does that mean going forward that you're like, yeah, I'm still into Halloween? Or do you understand that the fall party and its purpose, right? And I think that's where we need to really hit on. Not that the fall party is an alternative to that, right? Because then we're falling short, right? If we're going to fall party because we don't want to go out and trick or treat, then we're failing still, because we're just doing something else, that's similar, right? And just in a safe environment. So if we understand that the fall party is for the other people, next year when we come around, you shouldn't be like, oh, I'm doing this instead of Halloween. No, I'm doing this because we're going to go get new people.
We're going to go out there. And it's to your guys' point, what I told Richie, right? And maybe the word bait is strong. Like Richie told me, he's like, I don't know if I would use the word bait, but it kind of is, right? It's like you're fishing.
Yeah.
You're fishing. So you're putting
Jesus taught it.
Jesus taught us how to fish, right?
Yeah.
So you cast your net, you throw out your line, and you wait for the fish to bite. And this is, you're casting that net to the people who would never step foot into a church.
Yeah.
So that's my opinion on the harvest festival and fall parties and all this stuff is like, I put myself in the shoes of a parent. Would I rather take my kid to the local church, whether I go there or not?
Right.
But I would rather take my kid to the local church where these people, they've been there for years. I see their faces when I'm driving by, and they're giving out free candy. They got bounce houses, petting zoos, and food trucks. Whatever. Yeah. I mean, I knock out so many birds in one stone. I get dinner. My kid has fun. He gets his candy. He gets to dress up if he wants. If he doesn't, whatever, cool, whatever. But we get to go. He gets to be around the kids. He gets tired. I go home, and we're good. Yeah. You don't have to take him to the mall where it's packed. Right. That's my mom. That's what my mom used to do. She used to take me to the mall to go trick or treat there because all the stores do little trick or treating, or go through the neighborhood. You don't know what creeps you have in your neighborhood. It's the reality that we live in.
Yeah. I like the option for the kids. I'm as a parent there for a mission. The kids don't really know that. So I like that. But also, somebody convicted me, and it was an Instagram person. And I don't even know who it was, but. He said, you can say no to your kids 364 days a year. Why can't you say no this one day where everybody else is going out trick-or-treating? Why can't you just say no that day too? And we use it as an excuse as a parent because we don't want to. Oh, that's good. We don't want to miss out or anything. But you say no the day before when they ask for Pokemon and another kid got Pokemon. Yeah. It's the same thing. It's like, it's just an excuse for a parent. Yeah. So luckily, they get the option because dad and mom are there to serve a purpose, right? So they get to see reap the benefits of that. But it's them understanding, because I tell them we don't celebrate Halloween, and here's why.
Right. And you should, right? Because the Bible says teach your kids in the way and they'll never depart from it.
And they don't understand 100%, and that's okay. But they're understanding, right? Where I grew up, I didn't understand because nobody told me.
Right.
So.
But the thing is, I think kids nowadays have this option, like
Right.
you said, of going to the local church, and I still get my candy, I still get to dress up, you know, but I don't have to see, you know, a haunted house before I get to the candy, you know. It's just you're at church and they're playing nice music and everyone's just smiling and whatever. And again, it's to get those families through the door, because there's so many of these families that are going to show up to these fall parties that, bro, they'll never step foot into a church.
Yeah, and it's success, right? That's a huge success for the church, and if we get one, you know, that comes back,
Exactly.
you know,
and we just get one
and
family
gives their life to Christ, you know, that's a big deal. So
exactly.
and you can't discount that, you know. So
Yeah, and also, you know, I was just thinking about it, right? Because what if that one child that comes with their family, right, accepts God in that instant moment, right? And they don't go through the world's way, right? They get molded from church, right?
That's good.
Because I also think, like, you know, that's a testimony of its own, right? And a testimony that we don't really hear much is, man, I was saved at an early age, or I knew God of an early age, that I didn't have to go through X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
You know, with drugs, sex, whatever it might be. You know, you kind of were church brought up, but that's a testimony, you know, beautiful testimony that I think if we could go back, we would do. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Laura, that's her testimony. She was born and raised in church. She didn't go through the things that we all went through, right? The partying. And Alessandro too. Sandro's the same way.
Yeah, I mean, and sometimes I'm jealous of her because of it, you know.
And then sometimes they get jealous of us.
Yeah.
They're like, man, I wish I would have done those.
Yeah, she's always like, man, I have no story to tell. I'm like, thank God you don't have a story to tell. Like, what a great testimony, you know.
Yeah.
And to your point, you know, like I was brought to church by somebody, right? And that person tried for years to get me to go to church, right? And I don't know if he's brought in anybody else to church, you know. I don't know, you know. But I know he brought me to church, and he was just so persistent since we were in middle school. You know, it took till I was 21. You know,
you guys are still friends.
Yeah. Danny Fernandez, shout out. But because of that, right? Because of him, you know, deciding. And a funny story is how he got me to church is like we had a birthday party, somebody's birthday party, and it was out at a club. And he's like, "I'll go with you, but I got to go to Bible study before." So we went to a Bible study that night. We went out to the club. We really weren't. I've never been a real big drinker, you know. I have drank before, but we weren't big drinkers anyways. So we were gonna go to the party after the club afterwards and just hang with our friends. It was a thing, right? And because of that, right, he made me go to church. I kind of had this feeling like, man, this is, you know, I got to be here again, whatever. Then took me out. We went to the party. Because of that one decision of him, you know, saying, hey, yeah, I'll go with you, but you got to go do this first. My kids now get to get raised in a church where they don't have to go through. They don't have to go through what I went through, and they're gonna have their problems, but they're missing out on a lot of things that I had to go through, right? And it's crazy. The Bible knowledge that they have is way more advanced, right? Obviously, way more advanced than I was then. But some of the things they say, I'm like, man, how do you know that? You know,
right?
Because they're just being raised up in it, you know. So we can't discredit that, you know. So
that's what I'm saying. Like, heaven rejoices even if it's just one person that gives their life to Christ because of something like a fall party, right? Yeah. And it's the same thing with like people have issues with like, you know, having Santa Claus during Christmas time at church.
What do you guys think about that?
That's what I'm saying, to take pictures with the kids. Like,
hold on, he's not real.
What? But yeah,
I quit.
And the Easter Bunny, you know, for like Egg Fest, you have the Easter Bunny running around taking pictures with the kids. Like, man, I get it. Yes, these things are pagan, 100%. Christmas is not even Jesus's birthday, you know. So there's no calendar that can say that. Just like Halloween is not Satan's birthday, so don't let anybody tell you that. That's not the day that Lucifer was casted out of heaven. But still, man, again, it's the net that you cast out. It's the bait that you throw into the water to get someone to be like, man, how nice is it that these people have a Santa Claus here at church to take pictures with my kid? I don't have to go to the freaking mall and Dolphin Mall to be there for, bro. Those lines are ridiculous when you go,
and they charge you an arm and
a leg for a picture with some old creepy half asleep, you know, taking pictures with your kid. So it's like, you know, I'd rather just bring them to church, do this, whatever, bro. Free Easter egg hunt. Right. I don't have to pay for it. I don't have to go again. I don't have to go to the mall. I don't have to go to the school or whatever.
Man, you don't like the mall at all, bro.
Yeah, man. Well, it's because they do all these things at the mall. That's why I keep. That's why I keep. Because that's where my mom used to take me. I grew up in my mom taking me to the mall to do all these things. But yeah, man, I'm for them. I'm for the fall parties and all that stuff. Just to wrap that up. And it's funny because I don't know if you guys saw it, but my wife, she was on Instagram and she goes, "Oh my God, someone commented on the Instagram post of the fall party."
Oh,
And it wasn't anyone that goes to church. It was obviously someone who just follows, you know.
a hater.
Exactly. Well, it's just someone who has a different opinion, right? Again, it's different convictions.
Yeah.
You get me? And it's the way that you're brought up. And maybe it's a little religious, maybe it's a little legalistic, but the person commented like, "Oh, it was a promo, right? Like, oh, fall party's happening on the 31st. Bring your kids. I don't know." And someone commented saying, "Oh, this is basically Halloween, a Halloween event. Please, let's not keep trying to mask it."
Yeah.
You know, with trying to be sassy.
Right.
And I told my wife, I'm like, and that's why this is such a tough time of year for the church.
Yeah.
You know, because damned if you do and damned if you don't.
Yeah.
Right. You know? So, and the way I told my wife, I was like, look, if our lead pastor doesn't feel convicted about doing this thing, I trust him.
Yeah.
He you know, he's letting it happen for a reason. He's allowing it because he could, and he comes from a completely different culture than we all do.
I think it's also important to remember though, like, you know, we obviously follow the vision of our pastor, right?
Yeah.
Because he's giving the download, right, of
Yeah.
what the vision is. But that doesn't mean we have to agree with everything, right? And if you feel convicted yourself, right?
Yeah.
Then don't go.
Don't go.
Right? Support financially, send people, whatever, but don't go, right?
Don't go.
Like that's your personal conviction. And I would say that to anything, right? Like just because your pastor says it, test it, right? Still read it, right? So make sure he's using the right Bible, right? You know, whatever, you know, like you don't be afraid to test it, right? And if you feel convicted, then don't walk into that, right? Just like tattoos. I might think tattoos is good. And as your leader, you're like, well, I don't agree with that. Then don't get a tattoo, right? Like, that's
it. Personal convictions.
Right. And that doesn't mean that the pastor's wrong, right? It's just, he's a man too. He's got his own personal beliefs as well. So, and that's fine. I don't think there's anything. Now, what's wrong is when you go talk about him or you're like, this, I don't align with the vision. I can't do this.
Yeah.
Well, no, you just didn't agree with that one thing, you know, and that's okay.
Yeah, don't cause division.
Right. Think about all the Sundays before where you're like, man, good word, pastor. You know, like
you're going to now discredit him because he allowed one event.
Right. So just know the heart. And I think, like I said, if it goes back to, is this all we're focused on is the Easter Bunny? Is all we're focused on is Santa? Then there's a problem, right?
Correct.
But if it's, hey, we're doing all this, and guess what? We have Santa here too. Then okay, you know,
at the end of the day, we still have church.
Our goal is to, you know, bring souls and save souls, right? So, if we're doing that, then that's okay. In my opinion, I think it's all right.
Yeah. So yeah, that's you know, that was my that was the hot topic of the.
Hey, good question, Richard.
There you go. Yeah, Richie always has those good questions. But yeah, man. I mean, and I think, you know, with all of that stuff, right? There's always you know, I guess to go back to what we were talking about earlier about. There's always that dark side to everything, right? Like the dark side of there's this movie that that's actually produced by Christians. I don't know if you guys have heard about it. It's called Nefarious. So it's kind of like a horror movie that's produced by Christians.
Is that the Christmas one?
No. So it's about the dark side of Hollywood. So about how, you know, there's demonic influence and all that stuff in Hollywood. And I thought it was interesting, man, because you really don't know, you know, this is going back to like protecting your eyes and all that stuff. Like you really don't know what you are perpetuating until it's too late, right? Yeah. And it kind of touches back on like what Pastor Matt preached on. So, shout out Pastor Matt, where he preached on Sunday about that influence infiltrates.
Right.
So, you know, you're watching all these things and you're listening to these music videos, you're watching these music videos, which a lot of them you shouldn't watch.
100%.
Demonic stuff aside, it's all the other things, you know, it's the sex crazed world that we live in, right? And then sometimes they get, you know, put together and you got, you know, half naked chicks dancing around and freaking, you know, devil horns. And so it's just about, you know, protect your neck is the way that that I look at it, you know, and just being careful with what really what you're I guess dwelling in.
Yeah. I also wanted to say this because I'm glad you brought this up, because I hear a lot in the Christian world is, you know, don't listen to this music. This person's bad. Don't watch the videos. Mm-hmm. But then they're up at 1:00 in the morning at one of their concerts. You don't think demonic stuff is happening at the concerts too?
100%.
So I would say that, yes, your celebrity person that you like and all that, I get all that, but it's just as bad, right? So you can on the daily not listen to that person and open yourself up that one night that you're at their concert. So to all those Instagram girls and everything like that are at the Taylor Swifts and all those things, like there's demonic stuff happening at the concerts too. So I would just say be, mindful, right? Because it becomes trendy in the Christian world, right? Like, oh, we went here and we saw this concert and all that concert. But you tell people every day not to listen to their music, so.
Right.
Yeah.
And the devil only needs that one day.
Yep.
He doesn't need he doesn't need you to,
every day. Yeah.
Every single day.
Yep.
So and I'll be honest with again, this is just the convictions and all that stuff. I've been, just in a different level with God in this current season that I'm in, and convictions have been laid in, new ones, and ones that I wasn't really taking seriously before. That now it's like, hey man, if you want to go here, you can't take this with you.
Yeah.
And one of them is, we've talked about this already before, like reggaeton, right?
Yeah.
And the music and all that stuff. And bro, look, I'll be the first one to say I love Bad Bunny. I love Daddy Yankee. I love Rao, all these amazing artists. But my thing is, man, when you really just turn off the beat and you look at those lyrics, you're like,
crazy.
You're like, bro, what am I listening to, man? This is insane. Like, it's beyond me that I would even, like, it's not until you really read the words that are being said in these songs that you're like, maybe I really shouldn't be listening to this. and it's like I said, like, and when I was dating my, my now wife, like, I couldn't listen to this music. I went the whole year that I was with her, I could not listen to that music because it would drive me crazy.
It's crazy because, in the sense of topic with music, right? I love music, right? At times, I think, I'll speak for myself, and it is that you listen to some songs and you like the beat, and then you, little by little, you start memorizing the words, right? But you don't really pay attention to what they're saying until one day you're like, wait, let me listen to what they're saying, right? I was with my girlfriend. We went out to a Marlins game, and I was singing the song, and I knew every single word. I didn't miss a beat. And everything, but it was promoting, infidelity.
Right.
And then she's like, do you know what you're singing? And I'm like, yeah, P. Diddy, And she's like, no, they're promoting infidelity, right? So, and I wanted to ask the question within music, right? Would you consider pushing the envelope, right? If you listen to the same songs, but with no lyrics, just the beats.
What do you mean? Oh, like if you just listen to the beat?
Yeah. Would that be, let's just say you don't know the words, right?
Yeah.
But I guess, you still know the words to some of it.
I get you. I think that's a slippery slope because that's, I'll put it in this perspective. That's like, okay, I'm not watching porn, but I'm still watching girls twerk on TikTok. Yeah. You're just looking at clothed porn. You're still looking at like soft porn. You get what I'm saying? So yeah, I think that's a slippery slope. Even if you're just listening to the beat, no matter how fire it is, trust me, I know how fire they are, but I still wouldn't do that because again, it's a slippery slope.
Yeah. I mean, if you told me to listen to Bad Bunny's, instrumental and it was cool, I would be okay with it because I don't listen to his music. Right. But if I'm Renee knows every word. He's still thinking about those words. Those words are in his spirit already,
Exactly.
So I would say, if you're not already privy to it, I don't think it's a big deal, right? Because it's the words that really get into your soul, right?
Yeah.
Because I even thought about it today. I was trying to find some hype music for the kids playing soccer today. And a song came up. I really didn't pay any mind to it, and then Judah started singing it. And then it had a curse word in it. Judah didn't say the curse word, but the curse word came out. And I'm like, I never knew that word was there, because it's just so, and I know every word to that song. And I just never thought that I had said that word before in that song. But it's just, it gets into your spirit where you forget it's even there. Yeah. So that's kind of how I would feel about it. If I heard a good instrumental and I didn't know the song and it was just cool, that's one thing. But if I already know the words to the song, it's already in there. You're playing it in your head. What do you think you are not?
So and it's, you got to be really careful, man, with what you allow your soul to dwell in.
Sure. Yeah.
Because what you don't feed your spirit, you're feeding your flesh, right? Yeah. So the more I heard this one day by John Bevere. He's this great speaker. He said that our spirit hungers for what we feed it. So if you're feeding it the word, you're feeding it prayer, you're feeding it worship, you're feeding it intimacy with the Lord, your spirit is going to be a lot stronger than your flesh. But if you're doing fleshly things, instead of, you know, for example, you're at home, you're lazy, you're not doing nothing. You know, you could probably schedule in at least an hour to spend with the Lord. But all you're doing is watching Netflix and probably watching shows you shouldn't watch. You know, you're feeding into the secular things that make you then, you know, act out. And again, that's why it's so important. Like if you spend more time listening to reggaeton and rap music, because rap is another one. I personally can't even. I love Eminem. I can't listen to Eminem because then I'm cussing up a storm. Right. And then I'm unnecessarily angry. Yeah. You know, I love him. He's my favorite artist of all time.
I used to like him. Then he got into politics and I'm like,
yeah, that's true. He did.
Yeah.
Again, just stay out of it. But yeah, but again, bro, it's just things like that. And you know, my wife, she tells me, she's like, you know, the most secular stuff I listen to is country. And I'm like, that's no different.
Oh, it's even worse.
Sometimes it could be worse because I've heard the lyrics.
Yeah.
It's getting drunk in my pickup truck and, you know, hanging out with all the girls and they're all, and
I feel a little attacked right now.
But yeah, so I told her, I was like, I don't know if it's any different. It's just a different beat.
Sure.
That's all it is. It's just a different tempo, different instruments, but it's all perpetuating the same stuff. Infidelity, fornication, drunkenness, drugs, all that stuff. And again, I remember a quick story. My mom, she used to take care of these two little boys. During the pandemic when the daycares were all closed. So the parents, you know, they know the family and they brought their boys over. And my mom, the first like 2 weeks of having the little one, he's like 3 years old, cute little kid. He always had his iPad. And every morning and throughout the day, he would just be blasting YouTube and it would just be reggaeton music videos. If you've never seen a reggaeton music video, it's literally...
You're not missing out on anything.
You're not missing out on anything. It's what I said earlier. It's right. You're not watching porn, but you're watching reggaeton music videos. You're watching soft porn. So, you know, so this little kid is watching these music videos. Right. And it wasn't until my mom like really, you know, because my mom hates reggaeton. She was like, so, you know, they caught her ear where she's like, bro, what are you listening to? When she looked at the tablet, this kid is just straight up nalgas, just butts everywhere. And she's like... what are you doing? Right. He doesn't know. He's a 3. He doesn't even know how to talk.
Right.
But he's dancing to it. Like he's like on the couch and he's like, you know, shaking his butt. And at first we all thought it was funny. Whatever. He's a cute little kid, you know, whatever. But then it wasn't until my mom like went in there and she even addressed it with the parents. She's like, I want to let you know that when he's here, he's not listening to that. I'm sorry. He's not. And you guys shouldn't even be allowing him. My mom is bold. I don't know if I would ever tell someone how to parent their kid, but my mom don't care. You know, she's like, you shouldn't even be allowing him to listen to that and because they're so sensitive to that. And again, those are, bro, you're exposing that kid and basically sexualizing him at such a young, sensitive age. Sorry, Chris, go.
Yeah, no, you know, the other day, my girlfriend's son was watching a YouTube video of, I think the movie's called Baby Boss, right? The movies for kids or whatnot.
Oh, right? With Alec Baldwin?
Yeah.
before the scandal.
Yeah, before the scandal. But what happened is...
Are you talking about Boss Baby?
Yeah,
Boss Baby.
Boss Baby.
Right? You don't think nothing bad of it, right? But the music that was playing in the background, right, was like, you know, inappropriate for the movie, right?
It's like a hip hop song, right?
Yeah. So, you know, even with kids, you have to be careful, right? Because you see something innocent, but until you catch onto the words, right, it's not what you're watching, right? It's something totally different.
And they don't understand it. Yeah. They don't get it because they're little kids. But again, it's not even about, that's why I'm telling you that with I'm just going to listen to the instrumentals. Yeah. Bro, it's a slippery slope because even though you're just listening to your brain is like, I know what this song is talking about. So you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's not even about, it kind of ties into the whole, even if a man thinks a lustful thought, he's already committed adultery in his heart, right? Jesus said that. So it kind of falls into that category where it's like, yeah, I'm not doing it. Like I'm not listening to the lyrics. I'm just listening to the beat. But it's like, yeah, but you know what that song is telling. You know what that song is about. No te hagas el loco. Yeah. You know? So, and then with little kids, it's very important to I guess to keep them, you know, to keep them safe. And, you know, like Joe, like you mentioned that you didn't know that song said that cuss word.
No, and kids these days, there's so much access to stuff. You know, obviously as men, we know how there's so much access, but kids have the same access and they're way smarter than we are with technology than we were, you know? So, I mean, you got to look at everything they're watching, and to anybody that has a kid, you would know that you just got to be on top of them, that So much so I removed TVs from rooms, and I'm just
wow.
we're spending more time together, you know, like
Yeah.
That's good.
we took the TV out of the playroom, and I'm like, listen, we're going to do iPad for, 20 minutes out of the day, and here's what you're allowed to watch, just because, and I'm not one of those parents that are like, you guys have hung out with me. I'm pretty lax about things.
Yeah, you're not a radical parent.
Like, go break your brother, go break your sister. You guys will be fine, But like, just what they're ingesting is just it's freaking me out a little bit, And so, I really want them to be with me. And if we're gonna watch TV, we're gonna watch it together because I can control what we're watching. And it's just so quick, Judah loves soccer. He loves like crazy on soccer, and he'll watch these videos, and then all of a sudden, a song that was in the video takes you to something else. The next video that comes up, and then it's not soccer at all.
Yeah.
And now he's down a path, and I'm like, whoa, what's going on here?
What are we watching here?
And that's even on YouTube Kids, by the way. Like,
wow.
because it's YouTube Kids is just taking certain things, but if it doesn't fall in that category,
Right, but it doesn't filter everything.
Sure, yeah. So, man, what we've had to deal with as kids, I think the kids today, it's even worse because they just have access.
Because we didn't have internet, right?
Right.
Like we didn't have internet to the capacity that we have it at now.
You had to wait until after 9 p.m. to be.
Oh my gosh, yeah, to watch what is it? What is it called? Skinamax or something like that. It was like the stupid like HBO, like late night HBO. You'd have to wait until then to watch something.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was
one of the biggest things that I think we've missed in speaking of all of what we're talking about right now. It's having an inventory check of like where your heart posture is at. Because whether people might agree with it or disagree with it, words are just words until you give them power. Meaning, like if you're watching a reggaeton and you're like singing back to the song, it's like you're empowering this, so you're okaying this.
Right.
Now, if you listen to this and you're hearing it, and it's like, okay, whatever, then okay, you heard it, you let it go.
Yeah.
But now when you start thinking in that mindset, I was like, oh, okay, talk about lust and all these things, then you're empowering it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I would just be careful because words are powerful, right? And this is something I had to understand because I used to just say stuff and I'm like, well, what does it mean, right? I care about people's actions more.
For sure.
But, God gives and takes away life with a breath, right? And I think we have God's breath in our lungs, right? So I think we can take away life, we can give life in that sense where I think words are very important, right? And so we have to be very careful about what we're ingesting, right? Because to say that we can filter out ourselves or what we're hearing, I think we do a terrible job at that, right?
Yeah.
Because if I had a room full of ladies and I'm like, I'm going to have dinner and we're working, I would do terrible in that situation, right? My best option is to run away. And not be there, right? I don't want to ingest what we're doing. So I would just say, be careful in that because, yes, your thought process would be, I heard it, forget about it. But your spirit would say something else.
For sure.
Yeah.
But like, I'll put it this way. Chris, we talk about how Adele's going to sing at your wedding, right? So... And
in Jesus' name,
right?
In Jesus' name for free $99.
Adele,
okay.
if you're available when Chris gets married, please, we would love to have you.
You're going to be on a payment plan.
But at
your entire marriage.
Where I was going with this point was if, like, I think Adele's an amazing singer, right?
Sure.
But even if, whether female or male, if you just are going through a heartbreak, should you really be listening to Adele songs?
Right.
No.
Right.
You see where I'm going with it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
because it's like you're feeding that, that spirit of hurt.
Right. But I would also say that I wouldn't listen to her either way. Right. Because I wouldn't want to put myself in a depressive mood because of her music.
Correct.
Whether I'm sad or not.
Yeah.
Because it would put your spirit in a sad mood.
Yeah.
So that's the argument I would make is I wouldn't listen to her at all.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because it becomes depressive. You hang out with depressive people, guess what? You become depressed. Right. So same thing. If I'm listening to depressing music, it doesn't matter if I'm sad or not. Music's huge. I mean, the devil plays with it. He was the first singer. He was the first musician, the worshiper. That was who he was. So what do you think he's going to play with the most?
Yeah,
music, right? So, and I'm not discrediting what you're saying. I'm just saying that you have to be very cautious, right? Because somebody
there's
like
a fine line of where you cross that.
Yeah, because I would run away. Because I become, in my environment, I can be very dangerous in my environment. So it's run away, right?
You
Get
gotta
out.
use your famous line. You gotta just know how dumb.
Know how dumb I can get.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly. Yeah, and I remember it was Jackie Hill Perry. She was talking about how I think I've talked about this before, that she used to love Beyonce, and she said that one day she was praying and she said, Holy Spirit, if there's anything that I partake in, or anything that's with me or in my house that's demonic or just offends you, Lord, please, let me know. And she said that the first thing that came to her head was Beyonce. And she was like, that's weird. There's no way it's Beyonce. It's not Beyonce. I love Beyonce. There's no way. But, as the days go by, she said that I got really convicted, and it was, and she had all the albums and all that stuff. She's like, I had to throw them all out, because she said, once she started like deep diving, like why Beyonce, that whole family's into like witchcraft.
Oh wow.
Yeah, there was someone told me last week that
the Beyonce family, like Beyonce.
Yeah, all of those people, they're into witchcraft, and there's so someone told me last week that there was a story of this guy that he used to be into witchcraft, and that it was here in Miami, I think, or in Orlando. It was in Florida. They walked into a botanica. So a botanica is like a witchcraft store. Where they sell sage and crystals and all that stuff. And he walked in there and he saw Solange Knowles.
Wow.
And it's Beyonce's sister.
Yeah.
And his first thought was like, what are you doing here? And it's that she was buying, stuff. So, when that story, and then Jackie Hill Perry's like, whole like, there's a reason why God told her stop listening to that.
Right.
Because you don't know what that woman does behind the bro. I love Beyonce too. But now that I know that, I feel convicted to listen to that. You get what I'm saying? And it's not that I only now listen to worship music, because I don't. I still listen to reggaeton, but I'm trying to listen to more Christian reggaeton.
Right.
More Christian rap, Sometimes, is it of the same magnitude as the secular ones? No,
right.
But I'm praying that the Lord raises up, some fantastic artists, that can match that caliber, or that some of these artists get saved, man.
Yeah.
Look at Kat Von D.
Yeah.
Who would have seen that coming?
Yeah, I saw
That's
that.
crazy. Yeah.
Who would have seen that coming?
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So pray that Bad Bunny gets saved. Pray that Eminem gets saved. Like all these big artists that are in this, in this industry that has such a dark side to it. And Kat Von D was everything. She owns a tattoo shop. She's an actress. She's a musician. And from one day to the next, tossed out all her witchcraft books, all that stuff, got baptized. And then now, unfortunately, she's getting backlash from Christians.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hey, I got good news for you. The Island Boys, one of them got baptized. So there you go.
That's right. I think you.
So now you can listen to Island Boy.
Now you can.
Just one of them.
Just one of them. Yeah, just one of them. Well, I mean, like Farruko, he was a huge reggaetonero, right? He got saved.
At the peak of his career.
Yeah, at the peak of his career, after Pepas, talking about getting pilled up in the club.
Right.
One of the Heat blast that song every time they win.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So you see, it's people just don't know the volume and the just how heavy it is that you're promoting, right? Like, this is a basketball franchise, but every time the Heat win, we start blasting Pepas, and it's all about getting pilled up at the club.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. To all of our viewers on YouTube, thank you guys. I hope you guys, like, subscribe, and share.
Yeah.
For our listeners on Spotify, thank you so much for supporting us through every way. We love you guys, and we'll see you soon.
Don't forget to follow us on Instagram. Thank you.
Follow us on Instagram.